Hello, everyone. I'm Don Pratt, host of a show here on Rogers TV where we give you a perspective of police in your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. Today, we're going to chat with Detective Sergeant Miguel Torres, and he is with the Auto Cargo Theft Unit. Miguel, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So this is a great opportunity for us. I mean, I was speaking with the superintendent of your unit there sometime this past spring, and he asked if we would delve into some of the different areas of the organized crime unit, of which this is one.
Yes.
And according to the superintendent, that's a very large umbrella. So we'll chat about auto cargo.
Absolutely. So yeah, like our unit specifically deals with auto cargo theft throughout the region.
Right.
As you said, we're more of the organized crime section, so we don't specifically deal with the sort of one-off vehicles being stolen at the district levels within the region.
Okay.
We're more of a organized crime perspective, where we identify trends and ongoing investigations that are a little bit bigger in nature and a little bit more involved with, within our community.
And I just kind of wanted to separate it a little bit because, you know, the term auto cargo theft unit, I mean, it sounds as if it's one piece, but it's actually not.
Right. So we have autos, pretty simple, and, you know, what everybody uses every day. Most people in this region need a car.
Yeah.
But then we have the cargo theft, and we have a big cargo contingency area within the city of Vaughan, town of Richmond Hill, and the city of Markham, primarily across the south end of the region, where we have the transportation hubs, the Highway 400s, 407s, close to the airport, a lot of the big warehouses. So that's where our cargo investigations come from.
So that's primarily where the cargo thefts are happening or occurring. Is around these transportation hubs. So I more want to talk about the auto piece, but just touching on the cargo. What does that look like? So what kind of cargo are people typically stealing? So,
I mean, I think from my experience and from our experience currently, the thieves are targeting whatever they can get their hands on, really.
Right.
Anything that's that there's money in. You know, for example, alcohol, consumables like food, chicken, cheese, and then you have, clothing and property that's easily moved by these guys. These guys manage a network that, they understand where these things are coming from, but they also have the ability to move them. And that's difficult for any person to be able to get rid of equipment that's been stolen.
Sure.
So they have to have that network of criminal associates.
So if they steal a 40-foot tractor trailer of cheese,
yes,
they already know who they're going to sell it to.
Right. They have it is a pretty good network, we believe, throughout the GTA that they can reach out to a certain area or a certain person who's good for moving cheese or chicken or whatever it may be, and then another guy who's better for moving property, for example, shoes or clothing, and it's not necessarily specific to the GTA and to York Region. We believe it goes across provinces, back up to Montreal and back, wherever they can move it, they'll push it. That's the way. It's all about the money.
As you said, it is organized, right? Like this is not that there couldn't be one-offs. I'm sure that there is, but primarily this is an organized.
Absolutely. These guys have to know what they're doing. They have to know where they can hide things from the police. They have to know where they can find certain GPS trackers on the vehicles that we would use to locate them.
Right.
They know these things based on their experiences and based on previous investigations. They do get all the disclosure that we have.
Sure.
Right? So they understand how we work and how they can get better. They're always kind of a step ahead of us. But
they always try anyways, right?
Absolutely.
They always try. Now, you mentioned the word GPS, and that was actually kind of one of my lead-ins as well. Is if somebody steals a tractor-trailer, like, isn't it easily to find through GPS?
A lot of the thieves that are involved in stealing, for example, the tractor that pulls the trailer, they understand how to enter these vehicles and how to hotwire them and how to find the general locations of the GPS and have them dismantled. I mean, some of the trailers are GPSed as well. And so two things they'll do. They'll figure out where it is. And another thing they'll do is they'll just leave it in a parking lot for a certain period of time to see if it gets recovered by the police or any surrounding agency. And if it doesn't,
just leave it standing alone for a while.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, essentially it doesn't have a GPS on it, right? Because we can usually recover it forthwith or as soon as possible. So
Right.
these guys know the game. They know what they have to do, and they're good at it. But we're doing a very good job in combating
and just like you said, we refer to this quite often on this show, is the thieves are out there refining and honing their skills.
Yes.
Right. Obviously, it's your role to stay a step ahead to the best of your ability. But I mean, they rely on this as this is their prime source of income, right?
Right, absolutely, and they don't have the rules to abide by. We have lots of rules and
we all do
issues, right? So it's a different game playing field for them.
So and then this is where we move into the auto theft.
Yes.
And it's very similar in that there's both organized and opportunist.
Right. So I'll start with your opportunist thefts of vehicles. We do have, I think there's not a vehicle out there that hasn't been stolen. For example, a pickup truck or a minivan or a small little car. We do get the one-offs where it's a 2000, maybe kids out for a joyride, or the keys were left in the car. That happens a lot all over the region. There's no specific area that's targeted for those types of thefts. And they do happen, and sometimes you ask, you ask the victims of these crimes, and where are the keys? Well, I left my spare keys in my wife's car, who left her car unlocked, for example.
That's right.
So a lot of things where you shake your head and you say, well, easily preventable, but it happens. A lot of younger generations, from our experiences, we had, kids are out and about at night on the weekends, just going through cars, looking for things that they might want to take, change or whatever it may be, and find a set of keys and just take a car.
Absolutely.
That happens. I mean, but our unit doesn't specifically investigate those. Those are left at the district level.
Right. Okay.
Various districts. We have, through the assistance of our analysts within our unit, we have our own specific crime analyst, and we're able to identify trends and things that are on the up and up, and why certain vehicles are getting stolen versus others, right?
Sure.
So monetary value and things like that.
Sure.
So,
one video that I'd love to throw to, and this is to do not so much with specific vehicles, but specific vehicles for parts.
Yep.
This was a warrant that was done, I believe, out in the Vaughan area.
Yep.
We'll get them to pull that up, and maybe you can just explain as it's rolling what's happening there.
So this is our officers doing a search warrant into a unit that has obviously a quantity of engines, car parts. There is a lucrative market for these types of items, and again, having the means to remove them and chop the cars up, and then actually moving them to make the profit is a big deal for these guys, right? And if they're able to do that, then absolutely. I mean, we get involved in these types of situations all the time.
And all different types of parts. They're not just focusing on one.
Right. I mean, whatever the demand is, right? They'll go after. For example, I can say this year that we've seen car parts, a car that's been completely chopped up, when the manufacturing date was of the same year. Like,
wow.
For
okay.
example,
so worthy of noting, these aren't necessarily just 5 and 10-year-old cars. These are
brand.
Some of
cars.
these. Wow.
Yeah. So these are brand new. I've seen seats manufactured in Mexico for a Toyota SUV in February 2019, and we recovered the seats a month ago.
Wow.
So these brand new cars are getting chopped up that quickly, and they're moving. It's good money.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just, as you were saying it out loud, I'm thinking, okay, so if somebody needed an engine for a 2-year-old vehicle, that's not going to be a cheap endeavor.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's where these guys make their mark, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very lucrative market, and I can go on to tell you about our current most important trend for York Region right now is the is the thefts of Lexuses and Toyotas that we're incurring.
Yeah, I actually seen a media release just recently about that.
Yeah, we're just trying to, I mean, over the last year, we've lost a significant amount of vehicles, those two specific types, a Lexus SUV and a Toyota Highlander SUV. Mm-hmm. These two vehicles are specifically targeted by organized crime groups within the GTA and, interprovincial, for that matter.
Right.
The benefit for these organized crime groups is overwhelming. The amount of money they're making. We've made lots of arrests, mm-hmm. But it hasn't completely stopped these types of thefts.
Right.
And we're continuing. We've come across a lot of our vehicles being shipped or recovered in the GTA.
Sure.
They've been recovered in Quebec, and specifically in the Montreal area.
Wow.
Montreal and Quebec is of importance to us because that's the port.
Oh, okay.
The port of Montreal, where a lot of our vehicles are headed and located. So we can identify that these organized crime groups are stealing these types of vehicles and putting them in shipping containers, driving them back to Montreal, and putting them on a ship and transporting them overseas.
Wow. So are they getting past the technology of what it takes to steal a vehicle? Is that how they're stealing it?
We have a lot of video that shows there's been different methods of stealing vehicles over the recent years.
Okay, you know what? We're going to come right back on that thought. Folks, we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our chat about auto cargo theft. Miguel, before we headed off to the break, we were talking about technology to steal. I just wanted to make a note about the flash that we had up on the screen, that the cost to Canadians with regards to auto theft is $1 billion a year. That's according to the Insurance Bureau of Canada. I don't have those stats myself. Another interesting note is on the cargo theft, according, again, to Insurance Bureau of Canada, $5 billion to Canadian taxpayers. That's insane.
Yeah.
And like you touched on earlier, ahead of the show, it's not like it's a personal crime. It's not like it's something that's happening directly to me or directly to my family, but it's more like a global thing, isn't it?
Right, and the cost and the amount of money that these organized crime groups are making is significant. And they're recognizing, instead of trafficking controlled substances, which will get you a significant amount of time in custody.
Absolutely.
Let's traffic cheese.
Yes.
Or chicken or whatever it may be, and the amount of money is just as good, if not better.
Absolutely.
And there's no liability.
You gave me a great example before the show of replaceable razor blades.
Yeah.
They're nice and light. They're small. They're very expensive. A tractor load of those. I mean, I can't even fathom what the cost of a tractor trailer load would be.
Upwards of $250,000.
There you go. So $250,000, and if you get to sell that off at half price.
And and a lot of people would buy those, right? They would definitely consider those if somebody showed up and say, "You want a box of razor blades?" Sure. It's tough to compete with that cost.
That's that whole black market piece, right?
Yeah.
Before the break, though, Miguel, we were talking about technology to steal, and the question I was asking is, have these guys have they learned beyond the technology of what the car manufacturers have?
Yeah, for me, it's very difficult investigating this ongoing trend that we have with the Lexuses and Toyotas. They're brand new vehicles from anywhere from 2015 till now, in the last 3 to 4 years, and it's just we've caught it on video. A lot of people have surveillance video at their residence,
and it's primarily a Lexus and Toyota right now.
Yes, that's the two cars that are sought after by these groups. And we've witnessed it on video where you can bypass the alarm by punching a hole in the door and unlocking the car. you know, and then once they're inside, they buy a device, which you can get online, tap into the...
You can get this online?
Yeah.
Wow, that's scary.
You can tap into the vehicle's computer through the port, and then through your phone, you can reprogram a key fob, a blank key fob, to be the new key fob for that vehicle when your two fobs that you purchase your vehicle with are sitting inside your residence.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, gone are the days where keys are something that's cut and has an imprint on it. It's all electronic now, right?
It's all electronic. Well, that's the tougher argument for us. Well, in this day and age, how can you not stop that? How can you not prevent it with all the technology
that was going to be my next question: is how come that's not fail-proof? I guess that's not a question for us to answer, but
no, right? And it's frustrating because you know there are residents of the region of Bjork that have lost multiple vehicles in the last year because of the same reason. They've lost it for that. So we're trying to get our message out to the public that these two types of vehicles are a hot commodity for these organized crime groups. We'd like, you know, everyone to know that, you know, even though we're not seeing the trend of them reprogramming or stealing your signal from your current fobs in your house, but that was a method used previously. You know, keep them tucked away, maybe upstairs with you in your room.
Sure.
Maybe you can go by another greater extent is park your vehicle in the garage.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, most houses in York Region do have that.
Yes.
If you don't have access to a garage, park a vehicle behind it.
Yeah, block it in.
If you have this type of vehicle. And they do sell online like they're locks for the actual computer port that you can install, and that just delays them, right? If they see there's a delay, they might just move on because in certain areas of the region, there might be 3 or 4 of these vehicles on one street, right? And then lastly, we, you know, remember the old club technique?
Yeah.
Steering wheel locking mechanism?
That was very popular in its day.
I mean, that's something, if you have one, put it on. It's not going to hurt. It's a deterrent. I mean, if they really wanted to defeat it, they could.
And we say the same thing in other areas, like whether it's with home protection or what have you, is make your product less desirable or less easy to attain. All through that crime prevention through environmental design, right?
Yep.
Somebody looks into a Lexus and sees a club, they might move on.
Absolutely, and that's our best deterrent right now. We just want to educate the public and ensure that they understand that we're available for any questions that they may have with regards to those vehicles if they're being stolen. The number one thing, and I can say from our current investigations, that persons arrested for stealing these types of vehicles are organized. They are from groups that understand how to get these vehicles.
Right.
But at the same time, the best way that we've caught them is through the assistance of the residents of York. You know,
wow, that's great to hear.
Don't be afraid to report any suspicious activity on your street or people that you don't know. I mean, we can't be everywhere at once. We try to be, and we try. We know the hot spots in the certain areas that are targeted. But we're asking the residents of York to notify communications if there's any suspicious activity in their neighborhood. People idling in a vehicle that's sitting at the end of their street.
Yeah, and we're forever reminding people that if you don't report it, it's not known.
Right.
There's many different methods of reporting. There's Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS, yrp.ca, and people can certainly get more information on. As you were saying, you know, they can reach out to York Regional Police for more education on it, yrp.ca, and follow through.
There's lots of good tips there.
Right. Or if you want information on what other vehicles are you know, more predominant than others, Insurance Bureau of Canada, they post a list every December, once a year.
Yeah, I mean, there's several types of vehicles. I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to try to do the deterrent piece, right?
Yeah.
Get them to move on. It's going to happen. I mean, York Region and the GTA have lost lots of vehicles, right? I mean, it's something that's not completely preventable right now, and unfortunately, it's part of what fuels these criminal organizations, right? So, you know, and I can say a lot of these vehicles are ending up overseas.
Overseas as well.
You know, sometimes unfortunately, these vehicles are maybe stolen overnight. Most of the times, a lot of these vehicles can end up in Montreal by the morning.
Wow. Yeah, of course.
Right.
It's just transportation at that point.
If they're in Montreal, they can get on a sea container, they can get on a ship, and they can be transported overseas. For example, we've seen these York Region vehicles in areas of the world like Nigeria, where they're being sold online with an Ontario license plate attached.
Right.
Right. For the equivalent
insane.
of about $90,000 to $100,000 Canadian.
And you can get about 3 of those on one container.
Correct.
There's a pretty lucrative deal sitting at the end, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, and sometimes, younger kids are involved in stealing these things and, making some pretty good money that they wouldn't make working at a regular job.
No.
So,
No.
It's,
and like you said, it goes all over the world then, right?
Right. Certain areas of the world you can't buy these types of vehicles for whatever reasons I don't know. But there's a good market for them here throughout the GTA and specifically York Region. A lot of these vehicles are here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And of the ones that are recovered, I mean, you have, we were talking about the forensic piece. You have a forensic unit that goes
so
through
within
them.
our
We actually
unit,
have a video of it as well. We'll get them to play.
Within our video, we do have experts that are involved in examinations of vehicles that can identify the true origin and
Right.
whereabouts of where these vehicles were stolen. Sometimes there have been plates get altered, and the ones that stay here, they get changed up. But yeah.
And then, so they have, through the forensic identification piece, I mean, like you said, hopefully you're trying to identify who did it, where it was obtained.
Yep.
And now hopefully we get on to a prosecution.
Right.
Right?
Yep, absolutely. One thing I want to include as well, moving forward, coming up in the summer months, are the long weekends.
Yes.
In my experience and experience from members of our unit, we also deal with heavy equipment thefts, big backhoes, tractors.
Yes.
I mean, bobcats and things like that. We've seen an increase of those types of thefts throughout the long weekends. People are away for a little bit longer. So be diligent to see if you see tractor trailers being moved on the weekend of Canada Day or the civic holiday, whatever it may be. Wouldn't hurt to sort of update us, let us know.
Yeah, I never really thought of that. That certainly sounds suspicious. The chances of the construction crew that are developing a site working on a long weekend is not very strong.
Not very strong, and we have a lot of development in our region, so there's a lot of those vehicles around.
There most certainly is. And you said that's something that's prevalent in York Region.
Yep, it's there. I mean, we've lost, not a lot yet, but the season's coming, right? Like, throughout the year, there's different seasons for different types. Like cargo is, September to December before Christmas. Heavy equipment's in the summertime.
Right.
Vehicles like warm-up thefts and stuff like that throughout the wintertime. We also
I don't know if we touched on warm-up thefts before, but that's always a hot topic during the winter time.
Yeah.
Right?
That shouldn't be happening anymore, unfortunately, but it does.
No.
I mean, the numbers are going down.
Yeah.
From our statistical point of view, so it's good.
Well, that's a good sign.
The message is getting out there, right?
No, that is good. I mean, it's so easy to do, right? Your car's cold, you got frost on the windshield, you don't want to sit in it, right?
No.
Start it, go in and have your coffee. Not a really good idea.
No, not a really good idea.
And in today's technology, I mean, a lot of cars come with remote start, or you can certainly have it added after the fact.
Right.
Right? Not the worst investment in the world.
No, it's actually pretty good.
Right. And again, now we're separating the difference between opportunity thefts and organized crime too, though, right?
So.
And same thing with through the summer. You were talking about, this is another program that runs very strongly throughout the region, is Lock It or Lose It, for that very same reason.
Out of sight, out of mind, with everyone's at the malls in the summer, Canada's Wonderlands in our region. If people are walking by and they don't see anything, just keep moving on, right?
That's right.
So conceal it, don't have it in there. Lock your doors. Don't leave your wallet in there. I mean, I read a lot of reports that people leave all these valuables in their vehicles, and it's frustrating because it's easily preventable, right? So
a lot of that is
right.
And that's not so much on the auto cargo theft side. I mean, I think that again, we're dealing more with opportunists in that case. And as far as people protecting themselves, though, you're right. Like, there's lots that people can do on their own, right?
Yep. They just need to, just keep the stuff locked away. Like, I mean, keep the wallets on them, purses, computer, laptops, things like that, right? So.
Yeah, don't like you said, out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
Right, and then when we were talking about the like the organized auto theft, though, like, are we talking? Is there pockets?
So for us, specifically in our region, we deal a lot more in certain areas south, near the borders, near the highways, 400 series highways.
Busier spots, right?
Busier spots, you know, like anywhere in the city of Vaughan. Same thing for cargo. There is the warehouses, there is commercial areas. Not to say theft doesn't happen everywhere.
No, of course it does.
But our thieves are targeting the south end of our region. When we're talking about those Lexuses and Toyotas and cargo thefts.
So it's more in the high density type
High density,
areas.
yeah. Easy to access to the highways is the key one, right? They want to get it and get out.
So another thing I just want to mention on that is, if you do have a home security camera, keep it up, keep it in good condition.
Yeah.
Miguel, I got to thank you for being on here. This has been a great show, great topic. Folks, that wraps up this episode of Policing York Region. For more information on the show, yrp.ca. Been great having you. Look forward to seeing you again.